Hello, hello, hello. How you doing, Jack? How are you doing today? My best, best Jack. Are you alive? Have you woken up?
Yeah, I had my coffee, or rather finishing a cup right now.
Is it the bullet coffee?
It
The
is
one
not.
down with the pretty girls down by the
It is
beach.
not. It is just a regular grounded up coffee from the kitchen.
Okay, we're gonna go easy on you today then.
Yeah. So I sent you a co-host invite. So go ahead and accept.
All right. All right. Yeah. Um I guess people are excited a lot. People are pretty well informed with what we're doing, and excitement is 300%. This is just a normal AMA, but the guys in the price group we got pretty excited. Uh, I guess everyone's excited. This is pretty powerful things we're doing. Um, what are your thoughts, Jack?
Super excited myself. It's one of those things where I feel like not launching instantly is actually a good thing because we're letting people understand exactly what we're doing, and we're letting people understand how to use the testnet and to explore all of the different NFTs that are coming up. So it's actually more of a benefit to the community rather than launching right away without any sort of preparation, because we don't want the gas wars. We don't want a lot of FOMO. We want this thing to launch smoothly, and we don't want anything to crash, obviously. So, and it's one of the research items that I have, spent my time doing is looking at the NFT successful launches, and more often than not, gas wars ends up really being a detrimental force, and that's one of the reasons why we are having the most rare NFTs burn Zen. So not only it's beneficial for Zen, it's also puts people more on the equal footing in the sense of not necessarily needing to burn a lot of gas to, so to speak, ape in, because right now people need to actually have Zen to acquire and to mint NFTs. So hopefully the balancing act between those two forces will allow the smooth gas use on Ethereum network.
Right. It's the yin and the yang. It's and that's what makes me most excited about what we're doing. Because up until now, it's just been supply started from zero and crazy inflation in people's eyes, even though this is definitely something we have expected, and that's part of the project to get Zen everywhere. But now, when we're creating incentives for burn, it creates the yin and yang, as you very well put it. So we have the issuance, the minting, the positive, the creation of something, and then we have the negative, the burning of something as well. And this is what's super interesting with this model, because now we have a very decentralized network which will find this equilibrium with free market forces freely finding this equilibrium through incentives. If you compare it to another extreme, if you compare it to Federal Reserve, let's say, you have quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. So you have a central party that decides the supply of the market. And then you have a whole market who is waiting for whatever they're going to decide and preparing their strategies based on this. But now we can create something that's free market decides the supply.
So you're thinking that the initial Zen launch was more of a quantitative easing, and Zen NFTs is more of a quantitative tightening. Is that what you're saying?
I say that it's the beginning of the equilibrium between the yin and the yang there, because it needs to be understood that the apex will burn 15.5 trillion Zen, but it's also going to issue Zen. But it's what we're doing with Torrent is that we're showing people that they can create, they can use the burn function native to Zen protocol and create something which burns Zen and issues something else. So it's the birth of utility creation for Zen. And I think it's going to inspire a lot of developers out there to build similar protocols.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Zen's burn proof of burn mechanism was built into the main contract from the very beginning because we planned to create utilities that actually could be using that sort of an aspect of the contract to actually burn Zen. And when we say burn, it's really a conversion from one type of uh, crypto element, so in ERC20 token into ERC721, which is this NFT. And this NFT, obviously, not only it's rare, but also it has the very good functionality. So a lot of people use coin tools to bulk mint, and ours NFTs, they have the bulk mint function, and also potentially will give people ability to trade the future mints, which is a game changer, I think.
Right. So with NFTs, exactly, there's a lot going into this. It's a efficiency tool. You can batch mint multiple C ranks. You can then trade with it. You can trade that instantly. Because they are encapsulated into an NFT, which we call a ZenFT. So there's a lot of different things to talk about this. It's what NFTs are, how they work, why we make them, how they fit in to the bigger concept of Zen. What is the utility of having why would you burn your beloved Zen for as NFT? What's the game theory there? It's the supply, the yin and yang. It's about builders. It's about building something, creating an ecosystem. But then it's also particular stuff like updates, audit info. I think many want to touch on that. Maybe that's something you want to share on. The rarity charts. I think people got to hang out the differences there. Gas considerations. You talked a little bit about that, and so on and so forth.
Why don't we link up the rarity one pager that you created to this tweet so that people can actually review the categories and classes of these NFTs so that they know what we're talking about?
Sure. How do we do that?
I think
It's.
it's just a matter of
I'll send it to you in Telegram so you can
yeah, you can just
review maybe.
tap the reply to my tweet to the pre-launch party tweet, and then
Got it. I'll do it right
add
away.
the image so that it becomes attached to the original tweet. And so what's interesting about NFTs is that a lot of people asked is it possible to keep your C rank? And until now, it would have been impossible because at the time of the Zen mint, you're giving up your C rank. So you're giving up a little bit of a vanity metric. It just goes away. But with ZenFTs, if you keep your ZenFT forever, let's just say that some people may end up doing that. The ZenFT actually has the C rank as a property, which allows you to keep your the action that you have done with Zen and ZenFT right there within the property, which is really interesting.
Right, and this there's so much game theory going into this because not only do you have the Zen versus this NFT, within this NFTs you have a lot of metadata to analyze, and as Jack points out, you have even after so the output of minting your NFT or sort of claiming your mint later at maturity date, the output of that is going to be Zen in your wallet, but also the redeemed XENFT. So if we look at like the collector, for instance, that's just a pure batch minter. It doesn't require any burn. It's perfect if you don't care about the rarity aspect and just want to batch mint and don't want to burn any Zen for it. But within that category, you also have classes, and devs can build any kind of cool dApps and game theory that takes a hold of these different classes and makes interesting stuff with them. Collectibles, they are, you still keep these redeemed NFTs, so you can make composability, and that's why we called it collectors. You can collect many different, there could be something made with them.
Right. So the collector's NFT, for people who do not know, this is the one where you don't have to burn Zen, you don't have to acquire it. You can simply bulk mint with that NFT. So it's pure utility. It's not necessarily anything that that burns anything. So that's super interesting, because we have multiple categories and multiple classes, and different classes have different rarity charts and rarity numbers. So, like for example, Zunicorns, those are the top tier NFTs. There's only 100 of them. So 100 in crypto is kind of beyond rare, I would say. And of course, they're expensive Zen burn wise, because you need to burn at least 10 billion Zen, which is even at today's price, 5 zeros and 3 3, it's $33,000. So it's kind of difficult to get into it. But for the minters who have been minting with multiple wallets, it's actually quite affordable. I think right now we see at least maybe 10 people gearing up to buy them or to create them. And by the way, we're not selling those NFTs. And generally, when any sort of NFT drop occurs, the group behind it, the founders, usually sell their NFTs, and they collect money from people. In this case, we're not collecting anything. We're just letting people create new assets by themselves. So it's just like with Zen, you mint Zen for yourself, you mint Zen NFT for yourself too, and it's between you and the immutable contract without admin keys, of course. So that's what makes it special too.
And it's kind of interesting because, as you point out, there's only like 10 different maybe holders. Many people might have different addresses as well, right? So they can accumulate them and get the unicorns, but it's very unlikely that all the 100 will go very fast. So that means the game theory here is super interesting because it's going to be dragged out. And they do also require 100 VMUs at the minimum. And these are, we are testing what's possible here with the limits. We go from infinite supply, so to speak, abundance, more is a better word, to rarity and extreme rarity. And this balance is very interesting because we're dealing with peer-to-peer value here. So we need to get familiar with these different concepts. And then we have, of course, Apex, they are limited with amount, but then we also have limited, which is limited in time. So they do require as well 10 million burn. And now you have a possibility to only mint them for 1 year.
Right. The rabbit variety. The limited are, have a little picture of a rabbit, which is the uh, Chinese year that's coming up. 2023 is the rabbit year.
Exactly. So, Jack, I guess we have a lot of, we can talk, there's so much going into this. Guys, go to the Telegram. We have amazing admins who will answer all your questions 24/7. But I think, okay, one thing I want to point out as well that's good to know, it's that as you can see in the rarity chart, we've written there that these NFTs will not be tradable 7 days prior and 7 days after maturity date. So Jack, do you want to point on that? And also, do you want to give some updates on the audit? I think many people are wondering how it's going. What happened to you, Jack? Disappeared.
Sorry, I muted myself. I forgot to unmute myself. What I was saying is the 7 days buffer between the so 7 days before the mint date and 7 days after the mint date, and that mint date could be 400 days, 430 days in the future, as dictated by Zen contract. So that is specifically done so that people will not be able to trade if it's a final stretch of the mint, uh, helping the situation where there is a front run, like for example, front run situation can occur when a person like yourself or myself or anybody else out there in the marketplace put these NFT for sale, and then they immediately claim the Zen mint, and the person who is buying it will not have any Zen embedded within this NFT. So we want to avoid the situation where there's a race condition, so to speak. So the trading of Zen NFTs can happen up to until 7 days before maturity, and then the contract locks the transfer, so it will not be able to be sold. And this is something that we're obviously looking at places like Variable and OpenSea, and we need to make sure that everything works properly. And of course, we always very careful with that sort of design, because we want the community to take the full advantage and not to be somehow gamed by people with quick fingers. So that's super important. That's why the 7 day buffer before it becomes mature is important, so people understand what exactly that they're buying should they end up trading those NFTs.
Right, and the NFT marketplaces are surprisingly very slow to update their systems. So we don't want to be in a situation where people buy something that's been already redeemed but doesn't show up as redeemed on the UI of the NFT platforms.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
before we go into the audit news, I would say we have about what is the supply, about very close to 2 trillion in about 80 days or so since we launched. 2 trillion Zen.
Yeah.
It's about right. So interesting thing about it, that Shiba Inu, for example, has 500 trillion, but half of it is held by the founding team, which is an enormous financial centralization, I would say, in my mind, because the founding team could simply wait for Shiba to rally, and then they can unload billions if they wanted to. This is certainly something that we're not doing. It is impossible for us to control Zen's ecosystem financially like that. And that's part of the fair crypto. It's part of the design. But one thing's to be fair, and that's actually super exciting, because our market cap is a true market cap because it's held by the people who acquired Zen in the most fair fashion, I would say. So there isn't any sort of hidden bag of Zen that's the founding team is holding. And obviously this can be verified on chain. So that's what makes this project so unique. And the other thing I wanted to mention about the market cap, we're looking at $5 million in the market cap today. But we have very close to 1 million people actually participating in the community in just a couple of months and few weeks, which is incredible. And 5 million market cap, I would say, is a microscopic market cap still, even with the 2 trillion Zen supply. So imagine this market cap appreciating by 10x, 20x, 30x, 40x, which is totally possible. Just looking at the average market caps of all crypto projects out there. So still very, very early. Zen is very abundant, very inexpensive, and people can technically acquire it if they wanted to, which is not the same, I would say, for Shiba. I mean, certainly you can buy Shiba, but with Shiba, you're buying a market cap that's in billions. So that's a huge difference.
Right. Not any kind of financial advice, guys, at all, of course. But it's important to mention because sometimes we get people coming into the community and not have really understood the power of this. The supply started at zero. We need Zen to be everywhere. It's highly inflationary in the beginning. It has disinflationary effects. Burning hasn't started. So you have, when you buy Zen, you have to be ready that the price can go 99% down very fast, but it can also go up very fast. So you need to sort of, it invites people to be educational. We lower the barriers, you come in, you can do a mint with as low barriers as possible, with as low risk, and then try to understand the mechanics. And we're learning more and more and more. ZenTurbo.io made an insanely good dashboard. I suggest you all go and check that out with a lot of good and useful data.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and speaking of them, they will probably be showing charts of Zen being burned. So I can't wait to see the chart indicating this sort of yin and yang forces. So the yin is the production of Zen, and obviously the contract has been producing Zen up to 2 trillion right now. But the burn chart will likely be the opposing force, which we call between us the yang. So yin and yang, and will be very interesting to see that chart. Uh, Doing some sort of action. And going back to the market cap, so I just looked at Shiba. Shiba is pretty close to 5 billion, and Zen is 5 million. So the difference is about 1,000. So if I was a newcomer to this project, I would say, okay, well, here's an interesting project. It's 1,000 times cheaper on the market cap level between Shiba and Zen. Not to say that Zen will rally 1,000, but certainly if we connect those things together, the difference is that Zen is definitely 1,000 times cheaper.
that is very interesting. It's interesting to compare projects. And Shiba is a project that went from a meme coin to sort of trying to build an ecosystem around it. And I guess that's what we want to do as well next year. We're seeing a lot of interest from developers who are seeing the magic of Zen and wants to develop products on it in relation to it. So it's going to be a very interesting next year. I mean, for a developer, it's a pretty exciting underlying asset to produce any kind of DApp with. Part of it because of it's an amazing community, but also part from the transparency of the first principles of the Zen contract. You know what you're dealing with. You can have control over the underlying asset in that you can verify everything. You don't have to be surprised by some major holder that's going to do something unpredictable.
Certainly. So a few words about the audit. So we're using the same company, Certec, and Certec has been doing a lot of audits for many cryptocurrency projects. I think maybe 2,000 projects that they have done. Zen is actually ranked pretty close to the top. It's ranked somewhere around 100 in terms of its, um, I guess, the code completeness and friendliness and not having any bugs. Now, yesterday we received the preliminary report, and apparently, what Certic decided to do, they decided to audit Zen contract, the original contract again. So we got the second audit for the Zen contract. Now it's audited twice, and the second audit reported no issues, and it was a different engineer who looked at it, and they reported pretty much there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and it actually gives me even more confidence in Zen being secure as an ERC20 token. So we're waiting for ZenFT audit being completed either today or tomorrow probably, and we're in constant communication with their team. So they're looking at XenFT.sol, which is the SOL is the extension for the Solidity, which is the language that is used to create the distributed blockchain projects on EVM, obviously. So we're hoping to get something either today or tomorrow. And once we get this final audit, we will be able to look at any issues, if there are any issues, and then correct. Hopefully, it's going to be uh, minor corrections that we need to make. And when we do, which will take a day or two again, our tentative timeline to launch is sometime right after Christmas still. So we're hoping 27th, 28th, 29th. That's my target to launch. And one thing that we wanted to do differently, and that's important. So when we launched Zen originally, we deployed the contract, and we had some issues deploying it because there was few things that we needed to correct, and we wanted to make sure that the code, the open source code that governs Zen, is also posted on chain so that people can actually see what they're getting into. And anytime you're specifying the time of launch, like I think we were when we launched on October 8th, the time to launch was 10:15 a.m. on a Saturday, I remember. And it took us 15-20 minutes to clear it all out completely just to make sure everything is in. And it took quite a bit of time. So we were late. So in this particular case, if an audit comes out clean, what we're gonna do, which is the kind of like this different idea, we're going to post and deploy ZenFT contract with the code visible, but it will not be available for trading or minting until a certain Ethereum block height. So, as the Ethereum developers know, the block height is the number of the new blocks being created by the Ethereum blockchain. And what we will do is we will basically assume that it takes about 15 seconds for every block to be produced, and we will deploy probably a few days before, but then the contract will have the block height uh, method or a function that will not allow these NFTs to go live, but yet it will be available for viewing. So as soon as the blocks get get issued and it's above a certain block ID or block number, that's when the trading and the minting technically will begin, but not before. So the main difference is that the contract address will be available before the mint, the actual start of the ZenFT actual launch, so that people can prepare and look at the address and look at the code and make sure that they're getting it into the right contract, because it is quite possible, and we have seen it before too. We've seen scam projects that would call themselves Zen launching before the Zen launch, and that made a lot of people get into something that isn't real, or something that has admin keys, something that has the treasury address, something that has the OA. And Zen obviously never had the OA, but people didn't know, so they thought that's the one to start buying or minting or whatnot. But with this method, we will actually indicate the block height, and then those block IDs, they will be tickering up, like, so to speak, until a particular number, and then once it crosses that number, once it crosses that block height, then it becomes available. So that's the major difference here.
Interesting. And let's be also clear with a few things. It's on Zen.network on the ZenFT page that people go in. There will be the countdown. We will try to make as many days as possible before launch to have the countdown. And it's going to be deployed on Ethereum and following chains as soon as possible. We want to see that Ethereum works well, for similar to how we did the launch of Zen Protocol. One thing I want to point out, the game theoretical aspect, is as we saw with the launch of Zen protocol, the congestion at launch will be very high. And due to the demand that we see, we can assume with a fairly high probability that the demand is going to be insanely high. Added to that is the power of the Zen torrent, which is the fact that you can mint 128 C ranks at once. So if you're looking at the rarity chart now, guys, I don't want you to lose money on gas for nothing. If you're going for the apex, there's an incentive for you to sort of FOMO in quotation marks due to the fact that they are rare. However, even with those, as we established, the supply does not live up to the unicorn, etc. So you have to think about that. You don't want to pay thousands of dollars in gas just because you want to FOMO in if you don't have to. And especially that's true for the limited and collector, since limited is collector with time, limited is limited with time, sorry, and collector is not limited at all. So you have to sort of, we don't know what the gas price is going to be a few days after or a week after, but we can sort of assume that it's going to be lower than it's going to be at launch. So think about that so you don't pay a high gas price just to get early in. We saw that same kind of FOMO with the Zen launch, but you might as well could have claimed your C ranks a few days after, and you would only have lost a little bit on the EAA and a little bit on the app.
That is certainly true. And another thing to point out, that the apex categories of XENFTs, they altogether they require at least 15 trillion Zen burn, and the market doesn't have the 15 trillion. It only has 2 trillion. So no matter what anybody says, there's always going to be extra apex category NFTs available, just because there isn't enough supply of Zen available to do that. So it is, you're certainly right that waiting a couple of days or even a week or even a month will not be able to produce all of those or mint all of those NFTs, just because it is impossible no matter what happens to the Zen price. And when I say Zen price, I'm talking about the RC20 contract, because supply is still being produced for at least 8 years. We are limited in terms of what we can do in as far as buying NFTs or minting NFTs for yourself. So that creates a buffer. I would say almost like an anti-FOMO buffer, because someone could say, "Yeah, I'm not willing to pay 200 GUI, 300 GUI for gas." Um, but when the FOMO dies down, then you can still get into the unicorns and the rare varieties of NFTs, knowing that everybody's in the same boat, because there isn't enough Zen to burn.
There's so many different interesting aspects of this NFT launch if you compare to many other projects. And one of them we talked about here, we're not selling them to you. We're deploying the technology and you mint for yourself. There's no FOMO really needed. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. So should we take some, let's see, is there something else we really need to point out? One thing is also very important. If you participate and the congestion is very high, there is risk that you will lose your money on the transaction fee. You will get a so-called lost transaction. So you might pay for a transaction, but you won't get anything. And this is not something that we can control. This happens when there's an insane amount of congestion on the network. So there's important thing to know that if you don't get a successful transaction, you won't lose your Zen. Your Zen will only be burned if there's a successful transaction. So that's very good to know. But you sort of have to realize that there is a risk with participating in a high congested launch. Yuga Labs, for instance, when they launched, was it the Other Deeds, their metaverse NFT? They had a lot of lost transactions. They sold their NFTs, so they pulled in 300 million or so, and we don't sell them. You mint them for yourself here, and I think was it 10% of that, 30% was also a number that people lost in transactions.
Yeah,
So be
just
careful
due
of that.
to, yeah, the people lost money on gas just because the network got so clogged, and none of those transactions actually went through. So Yuga Labs was able to refund the lost fees because I think they raised $300 million just by selling the NFTs. So they were totally capable refunding 10 or $20 million in lost fees. Now, because we're not selling the NFTs, we have no way to refund anything to anybody. So that's where I mean, fairness and complexity obviously has its pluses and minuses. So something to be aware of. Now, let me ask you a question. What happens to the mint of Zen when gas prices go up? Have you looked at that action? So, like, let's say that 20 Gwei, what do we see in terms of Zen Mint?
So when Gwei goes up, Mint slows down.
Not only they slow down, sometimes they just stop entirely because, as we know, it costs about $2.60 on a weekend to mint Zen per wallet, and that's a 10 Gwei. Now, if Gwei goes up to, let's say, 100, now all of a sudden it's 10 times more expensive to mint Zen or to create C ranks, which actually is a force that will be turning Zen deflationary. So not only the burn that's turning Zen deflationary of conversion of Zen to these NFTs, but the higher gas price also acts as a deflationary force on Zen and creates the value and price pressure on Zen, just because people would not be willing to spend $26 if it's 10 times more versus $2.60 on the weekend. So we expect Zen Mint to immediately stop and the production of new Zen also slow down. So that's another force that's positive.
Would you say that it's a deflationary force because it's not reducing supply if you're not incentivized to mint? It's just slowing down the inflation rate, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
certainly true. If the gas price, like let's say that we're in a bull market, and the last bull market just a year ago, the average GWEI was 150 to 200, and sometimes it would jump to 300. So anybody who are locking in their Zen C rank creation and they're locking in their Zen mints in the future, certainly you're getting it at the bear market prices, just looking at Gwei. So anytime we hit the bull market, we expect Zen price to actually move just because it would be so difficult to mint.
Very interesting. Jack, what do you say? We can talk about this stuff forever. Should we get some questions from our beloved seniors in this
Yeah,
amazing community?
absolutely. It's there's definitely a lot to say, and I can't believe we just already spoke for about close to 38 minutes. So
Oh, wow.
let's take some questions. We have
I'm so excited. Block Wenjin. Let's get you up here.